up on quotes and proposals that you've sent in your business is one of the most misunderstood things that I tend to see online. I see some pretty bad advice out there. So in this video, I'm going to share with you our experience of how we use follow-ups on our quotes and our proposals we send out, which has allowed us to make thousands and thousands of more dollars and win more jobs. And my goal is for it to help you too. What's up, guys? Cam Roberts from the Stripe It Like It's Hot podcast. I hope you're doing amazing. This whole video is basically inspired from a Facebook post that was made a couple days ago, which I'll talk about at the end. But it's got me thinking a lot about why we use follow-ups in our company. So in general, if you go online to Facebook, you're gonna see a lot of people just trash the idea of following up with clients after you send a quote out, okay? You're gonna see a lot of things like, well, if they haven't got back to you, they obviously don't want you. Or shake the dust off and, get on to the next one. There's plenty of jobs out there. And to that extent, they're actually true. Like, there is a lot of work out there. Usually a lot of business owners operate from a mindset of scarcity. They think that there's not enough. There is lots of work out there. But not following up can leave a lot of money and revenue on the table for you. So I'll give you a couple reasons why. So number one, why we follow up in our company is when you send out a quote or proposal to somebody, via email, and they get this document, sometimes they intend on making a hiring decision very quickly, but because the people we deal with are just quite simply busy, our stuff falls to the bottom of the pile, right? So just think for a second about the kinds of people that we work with as a striping business owner. We work with property managers, operations people, facility managers, apartment managers. Now, these people have a lot more to do in their day-to-day work than just hire people to stripe their parking lot. They probably have to hire a lot more other contractors, landscapers, and interior repairs, exterior repairs, in addition to all the other things they have to do in their job. And quite simply, sometimes, even though they intend on hiring, they just forget about us because they got a lot of crap to do. So a simple follow-up phone call or email can be just a little bit of spark or motivation that person needs to make a hiring decision. Now, if we don't follow up, we're basically leaving it to chance that when they finally are ready to make this decision and go through with it and pick a contractor, that they're going to pick us. They're way more likely to choose somebody or engage with somebody right away with somebody who's the top of their mind. And if you're sending out a follow-up quote or a follow-up email or even a simple phone call, just checking in with them, asking them if they have any questions, that can go a long way to you being top of mind and being chosen for that job. Now, what are some ways that you can use an effective follow-up? In my experience, there's no bad way of doing it. Anything that gets you to the top of somebody's mind is a winning strategy. So this could be a simple email. One thing that I used to do before we had this in an automated sense, which I'll talk about in a second, is I would email out a proposal to somebody, with a PDF document attached, and I would just go into my email and snooze that email to pop back into my inbox 2 days later. And that would be like the trigger for me to say, okay, if this person hasn't gotten back to me yet, I'm going to follow up with them. And sometimes what I found was a couple things. Sometimes, number one, the person simply didn't get the email, right? Sometimes when we attach like quotes to emails, they go to the junk folder. So simply following up in a separate email, make sure that they actually got the quote. The second thing that you could do in addition to email is just give the person a quick phone call and just say, hey, I just wanted to make sure that you got that proposal okay. Did you have any questions about it? Did you have a chance to look at it? Now, if they've looked at it, you could say, fantastic. Like, what did you think? Did you have any questions that I could help you with in moving this along? See, one thing we have to remember, we get sometimes very, we think too much about them in the sense of the clients. We think too much in the sense of like, well, I don't want to upset them or be too pushy, right? Nobody likes a pushy salesman. But one thing we have to remember is we've invested a lot of time into preparing that quote. Maybe we did a site visit. We're interested in doing the work. If they've reached out to us for this quote, that clearly means that they're interested in it. Like, we have a lot of permission as a contractor to go to that client and say, hey, like, what can I do to make this happen? And if we don't do any follow-ups, we're leaving it to chance that they're going to choose us. They're more likely going to go with somebody who shows initiative in following up with them, showing initiative that, hey, I'm actually interested in doing this job. It could be taken from a client that if you don't follow up, well, maybe this contractor just simply isn't that interested in it because they haven't said anything, right? So follow-ups are never a bad idea. Now, the Facebook post I saw a couple days ago was fascinating because it wasn't about a job where he was waiting for the client to actually make a purchasing decision. The job was already done. So here's the deal. He basically said, look, I sent out a quote against 2 other competitors. They went with a low bid contractor. Now, this particular job had very specific requirements on how to paint the parking lot. Number of coats, the type of paint, reflective glass beads were in it. And he said, I noticed when I was driving by that the low bid contractor who got that job, the same one that I quoted, didn't do the specifications that they were supposed to. They cut corners, they used the wrong paint, it looked bad. And his question was, should I follow up with that property manager to basically discuss with them that what they got was not what they asked for? Now, there were 28 comments on this thread, 28. And every single one of them told the original poster, don't follow up. Waste of time. It makes you look bad, and all sorts of just crazy reasons why you should not follow up with this person. And I looked at that post and I was like, my goodness, we have to radically change our thinking here. I absolutely would follow up with a property manager in that case. And the reason why I would do that is because, again, you're just assuming that the property manager is okay with what they did. They're okay with the work that was done. The reality is, like, they might not even know that the low bid contractor did it wrong, right? We're line stripers, property managers aren't. So if they send out a requirement from their head office saying, make sure that the striper does 2 coats of reflective paint, like, they don't sometimes even know if the guys did that. So by you showing initiative and making sure, like, hey, like, I just wanted to let you know that, we priced our proposal competitively based on the specs that you had provided. We're just a little concerned. We noticed that the work done didn't meet the specs. Is it possible that we quoted something wrong? I want to make sure that our proposals are competitive for you in the future. Now, if you do that, you're probably going to find one of 2 things. Number 1, the person had no idea that the low bid contractor screwed them over. Or number 2, you'll find out that they simply don't care. And they're like, yeah, it is what it is. We'll just choose the low bid contractor. And if you have that information, you can then use that to your advantage for next time and not go after clients like that who are just interested in getting low bid work, right? But there's a good chance that if you did that, if you did follow up with that person and say, just so you know, here's what we noticed. Did you have concerns about that? You could actually build rapport with a potential client and build trust with them that as a professional, you know what the specs were, you quoted it correctly, and that if that ever happened again, you'd be willing to work with them to make sure that it was done correctly. That can go a long, long way. All right, last thing I want to talk about here is how to automate your follow-up. There's a number of amazing softwares and systems out there that allow you to do this. Things like Jobber, most CRMs allow you to do this as well. So in our CRM, we use a program called Nutshell CRM. And what that basically allows us to do is we attach a quote into it and we send that quote from the CRM to the client. And it comes from our email, so the client has no idea it's being sent from a CRM, but because it is sent from that client relationship management software, it allows the software to automatically send a follow-up email with that client 48 hours later. And it's a really simple email. It says, hey, client name, just making sure you got this. Let us know if you have any questions. That way, our sales team doesn't even need to think about it. They can just send out the original quote. The CRM does all the automated follow-ups. There's a lot of softwares that make that really easy to do. And the numbers of jobs won by contractors who use some sort of follow-up system go way, way higher. There's a lot of fascinating information and studies that have been done on this. Closing rates go way up. So looking and investing into something like an automated follow-up system can win you a ton more business in your striping or asphalt company. Worst case scenario though, if you don't have anything automated, just send people a quick email, follow up, and try it. See if it makes a difference if you win more jobs by following up. If you have any questions on it, reach out anytime.